Welcome back to San Antonio, where the Trinity Tigers baseball program looks to get back to winning ways against the Centenary Gents after dropping Game 1 of the series last night in extremely close fashion. I'm joined once again by Sam McWhorter on the call. And Sam, we've got Jeff Loneker on the mound here for the home team.
Yeah, Loneker was exceptional last time he faced Centenary. Some of the best pitching he's ever had. If he has his command today, it's going to be a good day on the mound. Even if he doesn't, he can probably work around it. His stuff is very good.
Speaking of that previous appearance against Centenary, the second part of a doubleheader last season in Louisiana. Game went 13 innings, and Loneker went 9 2/3 of those in relief, struck out 12 and only gave up one earned run. Tigers would bite your hand off for another performance like that today, Jeff. It's an unchanged lineup for the Centenary Gents, who were, of course, victorious yesterday. Struggled defensively, but put up 9 runs in the winning effort. And as we'll see in the bottom half of the inning, plenty of change to the Tigers' batting order. We'll talk about that when it comes. For now, it's Chris Haggard against Jeff Loneker. And another one sent down the left field line foul. So Loneker's a guy we've seen only start one other time this season. That was against number 18, Babson, March the 1st. Went 5 2/3 and gave up a run that was earned. But overall was effective in that outing. Besides that, he's been coming out of the bullpen. A couple of long appearances in relief. Last 3 times we've seen him, he went over 3 innings.
He's certainly stretched out for this start. The thing about him is that he's not a drop and drive type of pitcher. He's a rotator. And so when he fires those hips, there's a lot of torque in that and the upper body. That's where a lot of his velocity comes from. You can see just how rapid it is as he gets the strikeout.
Good start to the day for Loneker.
And what that means essentially is that everything has to be synced up along the way. When you drop and drive, everything is moving towards home plate at a sort of similar rate, and so it's easier to keep everything in sync. For Loneker, it's all about making sure the chain of command from the feet all the way up to the shoulders fires in sequence. And when he does that, he looks incredible.
Yeah, we saw some of his best work over the course of last season when he went 4-0 and got 3 saves in 14 appearances with a sub-2 ERA. Tigers would love to see that once again from their senior right-hander on the mound. There's going to be quickly 2 down here as that one's hit right at the Tigers' second baseman. Still Logan Morrison after a fairly effective outing last night. Changes, though, on the left side of the Tiger infield. MJ Metz returns to third base, and Scott Peterson gets his first start in for Jack Wisniewski. Brendan Caraway at first, so Morrison the only one that carries over from last night's defeat. And Loneker's going to field this one himself, right to the glove, and the flip to Caraway, and a very effective first inning for the Tigers starting pitcher. We'll be right back with you as the Tigers look to get off to a hot start here in the first inning. So top of the order stays the same for the Tigers here. 1 through 4 unchanged. After that, it's going to be Dallas Bender, the DH, Caraway over at first, Goodrich behind the plate, MJ Metz, and then Scott Peterson, his first collegiate start, is in the 9-hole. Just looking to maybe switch things up, get a bit of that comfort that people maybe had felt before. Remove that from the equation and say, look, everybody is replaceable if you're not hitting.
I think that's about right. Parker on the mound is a very interesting pitcher with his delivery as well. I mean, you want to talk about a crossbody delivery. Watch his step. It's almost to the first baseline.
It's almost a contortion act when he comes to the plate as Morrison leads off with a single past the shortstop for the day, who is Andrew Russell.
Is it too early to talk about Logan Morrison getting on base?
Seems to come up in every game, which is good news for the Tigers when your leadoff man is effective in that way. It's now Jake Martin, who's on the down after a really hot series against TLU. Chance to bounce back today. Chance for the whole Tiger team to bounce back after a disappointing defeat last night. Drew within 1 in the 8th, but were unable to come up with anything further than that. Centenary opting to go with the throwback-esque classic style kits today. Trinity opting to go back to the maroons. Pinstripe pants.
I love the old school faded white look. Like everything is in sepia.
Sounds like a white balance nightmare as Parker comes to the plate. Seen Martin square around the bunt a couple of times here. Not sure exactly what to make of that.
Parker has been shown a good breaking ball so far. Fastball command looks a little bit iffy, but looks like maybe having to spin the breaking ball in there gives him a little bit more control.
And obviously the stat sheet isn't going to tell the whole story. But when you look at it for Parker, his last 2 starts, he's gone a third of an inning, gave up 2 unearned runs. And then last time out against Millsaps, went 1 inning, struck out 2, looked good, at least on the stats, and then didn't come back out for the second. Prior to that was the game at Redlands when he went 5 1/3, but perhaps dealing with injury issues, perhaps something that we're unaware of for the lefty on the mound. It's his first year as a part of the Centenary program. And you really just don't know what to make exactly of his stats so far. Comes into it with a 5.48 ERA, only 23 innings pitched in 6 starts. And his only decision so far was a win. That came at Occidental over spring break for the Gents.
I think that's a reflection of 2 things. One, just being that he hasn't often gone deep into games, but also the other thing is that Centenary relies on their offense. You know, that's the kind of team that they are. So even when you go 5 innings and maybe you give up 5 runs or something, you know, you still have a chance to give your team an opportunity.
Yeah, the other thing, final touch on the stat sheet for Parker and its ambiguity is He's given up 20 runs. Only 14 of those are earned, so you wonder about defensive support for the man on the mound. We saw Centenary struggle with that last night with 5 errors as Morrison takes a free base. He's not opposed to it. And it's going to be a 3-2 pitch here for Parker against Martin. And looks like they may have him picked off here. And we're in a pickle situation, and that's disappointing for the Tigers. You had the lead runner on second base. Good move from Parker on the mound, and they had Martin fooled.
I mean, that's just poor base running as well. That was so early.
Yeah, it seemed like he was resigned to his fate there. Didn't make him necessarily work for it in the pickle situation. So Martin, now with the bases empty, will take his place over at first base. So opportunity missed for the Tigers to have 2 on for Rafe Shamet. Instead, he'll just have Jake Martin at first. And 1 down, so I believe the Tigers only have the 1 lefty, and that's Shamet in the lineup today. Not sure on Scott Peterson, but I think he hits from the right side. Caraway, another one that also stands in left-handed, like Shamet here. Takes the first offering from Parker. Of course, at the Division III level, you don't see a lot of left-handed pitching, especially starters. Feels like if you do have a lefty, you want to bring him in specific situations to get left-handed batters here like Shamet. So it could be a real asset for Centenary to have that righty-lefty combination if they start to be effective, from the starting pitching role. Comes in extremely high, and the Tigers continue the aggressive base running. Their second steal early on. That one was floated and didn't really give the man behind the plate a chance. That's Salzman. Martin needs to be careful not to fall victim to the pickoff move that his buddy Logan did just moments ago. There's a 3-0 pitch now to Shamet. First base is open. And he's going to go fill it up as a 4-pitch walk for Matt Parker.
Yeah, didn't have command of either of his pitches in that at bat. Interesting always to see a guy with such a far out arm slot, by which I mean so close to first base. It's always interesting to see how they deal with another lefty in the box. Some guys tighten up, but cross-body guys sometimes have a little bit of an issue.
This brings up the cleanup hitter for the Tigers. Just 1 out. Mason Meredith squares around the bunt. Gauspender waits on deck.
Not sure I love the idea of a bunt with 1 out already.
Of course, the Tigers would love to get out ahead early. Found themselves down quickly 5-0 yesterday. They held a lead after scoring in the first inning against Chicago. And that was the last time we've seen these Tigers in front, as they drew level yesterday after 4 for Centenary. Got back out in front to stay. Ultimately coming out on top 8-7. There's going to be a quick conference here as Parker's seems to have lost control. And And just looking at his last couple of starts, you wouldn't be surprised if they take the ball from him here. You just don't know what the situation is for the left-hander.
We've also seen Diaz come out of the bullpen multiple times in yesterday's game and not take the ball, so it's always tricky to figure out what his intentions are.
So he leaves his freshman out there on the mound. And he's in a tricky situation here early with 2 runners on, 2-0 count. Mason Meredith dialed in, looking to bring Jake Martin home from second base. And this one is chopped. Should be 2 for the Centenary Gents. And it is. So they get out of a mini jam off of one pitch from Matt Parker. We'll head to the second inning with the Tigers leveled up with Centenary 0-0. Some great weather for baseball this afternoon. 66 degrees in San Antonio. Listed as cloudy, but the sun is peeking out from behind those clouds to get a glimpse at the number 3 in the nation Trinity Tigers, taking on the Centenary Gents, who after last night's win jumped in front of the home team in terms of the SCAC standings. Tigers can take that spot back with a couple of wins in the doubleheader today. The center fielder, Cameron Guin, who was effective yesterday, both offensively and defensively. The senior is going to hit this one towards MJ Metz. He takes his time and fires across and makes no mistake. Tigers quickly have one down here in the second.
It's definitely one thing about MJ Metz. Look at that wingspan come into play. And a pretty solid throw to bat.
So here's Albritton, who lined into a double play yesterday early on in the game. Started to make more meaningful contact later on. Knocked that one foul. Ended yesterday 1 for 5. A couple of strikeouts as well.
It's got the big crouch going on. And you pair that with a toe tap. One way to leverage your frame.
This one once again chopped towards Peterson, and his first defensive action results in the second out of the inning. So Tigers defense looking reliable here early doors.
Which is certainly a good thing.
Saw just the one error yesterday on the pop fly over at third base. So the change is not made, out of defensive struggle, more, I think, with eyes towards production at the plate. But these guys that come in are certainly capable of playing defense at a high level, and we've seen that so far through 1 2/3.
Yeah, and there's a difference too between playing defense that doesn't put you on the score sheet and playing really good defense as well.
This is Tyler Welch, who had himself quite the day yesterday. And we'll talk about that next time he comes up to the plate as Loneker fields his second ground ball of the game here early on. And he's dealing quite effectively as the Tigers will come up now to take their swings in the bottom of the second. So it'll be 5, 6, 7 due up for the Tigers here in the bottom of the second. They forced Matt Parker to throw 20 pitches bottom of the first, but ultimately to no avail as the Tigers left a couple of men on base. It's actually not true. They ended with a double play. Just the one left running towards third. Dallas Spinders now kept a spot in the lineup, but he's slotted in as the DH. Letting freshman MJ Metz do his third base duties. And for some guys, being the DH allows you to focus on those times that you come up to the plate. And some guys, it disrupts your rhythm. I think with Bender, we saw him come in early in the season, mostly as a pinch hitter, sometimes as a DH. So I don't think he's married to the idea of playing the whole game as the third baseman. We'll see how effective he is today as this one's popped up. Should be playable for the second baseman. Ranging to his left and battling the sun. He does bring it in.
Yeah, and the wind, which is something that you can only see slightly as things blow across the camera every once in a while, but it's definitely there as he has to keep ranging over more and more and more. So multiple things to combat today. Ah, the classic undone buttons that we've all come to love.
Saw the infamous image of Matt Thomas's wardrobe malfunction make its rounds on the internet nationally this week. Not the kind of publicity the Tigers would hope for, especially considering, they've made noise nationally fairly recently, national champions. Recently, it's been internet fame and memeability, particularly for poor Matt Thomas, as Caraway takes one off the back, and he's aboard in the second.
Not a rare thing for Parker. He's hit more than a batter per each outing that he's had. And again, it comes on the lefty. So control against lefties, clearly a struggle.
Michael Goodrich, who's fallen down to the 7th spot in the order. He scores around the bunt. The Tigers Just flirting with that idea of laying down the sack bunt. Yet to do so far.
Haven't had a pitch in a strike zone.
That one does come across the strike zone. Goodrich pulled back the bunt anyways. And for the Tigers, it's going to have to be about building off the rhythm, the momentum that's being created by their starter Loneker, as they had Caraway picked off. But he did a good job to avoid being thrown out.
Yeah, you have to commit in a situation like that with the lefty on. When you're going, you're going.
All kinds of activity on the base paths here early. A couple of steals, Morrison and Martin. Morrison was then thrown out at second. Something Caraway needs to be wary of.
It's a little bit strange to see so much action off of a guy who seemingly should have a great pickoff move with how far to the left he has in his normal delivery. Should be pretty hard to distinguish from when he's coming over to first.
He hasn't been far away. He's got one pickoff, and he had the right idea there against Caraway. Maybe the weakness the Tigers have spotted is behind the plate. And a couple of times with the breaking pitch from Parker, Tiger runners have had all kinds of time to saunter down to second. No doubt about that one. It's right in there for a strike. I haven't seen a lot of big swings find the baseball for Goodrich recently. Saw a couple of Tigers put the ball on the warning track yesterday. He wasn't among those. It's one of those with the power to take it beyond the warning track. 4 home runs this season. Led the team in home runs last season as well.
He's got really quick wrists, which helps with that a lot. And the way that his swing is built, he pushes off of that right leg in that wide base. Gives him almost this slight uppercut to his swing. It helps in lofting the ball.
Parker clearly occupied with Caraway the runner. He's gone there twice in a row now. This time he comes home, and Goodrich fouls it off. Count stays at 2-2. So, see what the Tigers can do. They've pretty much constantly had a runner in scoring position so far in the early parts of this game. As I'm not sure if that one was foul tipped. Looked like it was painful for the catcher either way.
Yeah, and if you'll remember, he got bumped on the knee last game as well, so taking a little bit of a beating behind the plate is Salzman.
Goodrich, a fellow member of the Catchers Union. Probably check up on his buddy there.
They've really gone all in on the no top buttons today.
Seems to be a team favorite when the maroon jerseys come out. As this one is hit over the shortstop's head. And we'll see if there's going to be a play at the plate. Instead, they decide to hold Caraway at third. So we have runners on the corners now with just one out. Solid piece of hitting there from Goodrich. Stayed alive in the count and then put it out over the shortstop's head.
Yeah, nice little line drive, something we didn't see a ton of in the Friday game. Which is not to say that the long drives out to the warning track are bad necessarily, but we were seeing a lot of pop-ups and grounders in between those, and when you're only hitting fly balls, that can sometimes work to your detriment as you end up being kind of an all or nothing team.
So freshman MJ Metz, who's been restored to the lineup as the third baseman today, looks to stake a claim to say, I should be here. He's where he started the season. And his struggles at the plate eventually found himself back on the bench for Tim Scannell.
He's done some solid work in the cages, and really more than anything, it's just about switching things up. You know, when you've lost 4 in a row, something has to change.
And there's going to be time called, a conference at the mound, as Tigers are threatening here to score the first run of this afternoon. Caraway waits just 90 feet away. And there's only one out. They got out of the last inning with a double play ball from Mason Meredith. Be the one thing that MJ Metz looks to avoid. I think it's just something into the outfield here will be objective number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. You're looking to put this ball in the air. You've got 1 out to give. You've put some people on base, but even in the Friday night game, you had a little bit of trouble pushing those runs across, so it's time to just get things rolling.
This one fouled off on the 2-0 from Metz. Went chasing on a pitch low in the zone. Yesterday, the Tigers leave 11 runners on base.
Yikes. That's the operative word.
And that's the unforgivable sin in baseball terms. As this one is hit and right at double play distance, but they drop the ball. Tigers get a bit of fortune, and the defensive woes continue for the Gents, who will give up the first run in the game there on that bobble from the second baseman.
Well, they'll take any bit of luck that they can, and that was very lucky.
So Caraway comes across the score. The Tigers take a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the second inning. Their first lead of the series. And they'll take it, like you said, any way it comes. Here's Scott Peterson. Haven't seen a lot of him. Sophomore finally getting his opportunity. He's been stuck behind with his Newski all season.
Got his first 2 at bats about a week ago. Ended up 1 hit, I believe 1 ground out.
Yeah, I came in towards the end of the day cap of the TLU game as head coach Tim Scannell was looking to rest some of his big guys for the night game, and showed that he is capable at this level, and now he's getting his opportunity from the start. At least in the soccer world, they call it your full debut. You finally get the start, and that's what this is here for the sophomore. As he tried to sell that one, turning away. Instead, he's behind in the count 1-2. MJ Metz over at first.
Peterson's listed at 5'11", 160. You think he's 160?
Maybe soaking wet. As he hits this one on the line. And it gets out into the outfield. Metz is going to go for 3. And a solid piece of hitting from Peterson on his full Tigers debut. His first start of his career. He's now 2 for 3 as a collegiate player, and you'll take it.
Excellent piece of hitting, and Peterson really showed a tight strike zone throughout that at bat, and then just did just enough. Didn't need a big swing, just one that was on plane, knocks it out into that outfield. Probably could have gone for extra bases if not for a really good play by the right fielder there.
So now it's up to the guy at the top of the order, Logan Morrison, to maybe try and double the lead with MJ Metz waiting on third. Morrison started off the game with a single, and that would do, without a doubt, here for the home team.
And Tigers haven't been getting a ton out of the bottom of their lineup in recent times, and now you finally do. This is a call for the top of the lineup to step up and finally let's put everything together at one time.
Yeah, absolutely. The bottom part of the order yesterday really let the Tigers down in a sense. But they've already got off to a good start here in the second inning. And this one hit out into the outfield. Will it get down in front of the center fielder? And it stays up just long enough for the on-rushing Guin. But the Tigers jump out in front here early on. They leave a runner on first and third. But they lead 1-0 here heading into the third inning. Jeff Loneker still working on the mound. He's retired all 6 batters he's faced. His latest addition to the Tiger baseball fashion, the one part of the jersey untucked.
It's a choice.
An update for you on the Tiger softball team. They lead 6-2 in the opening game of a doubleheader against the University of Dallas. That game also being broadcast on the Tiger Network. They'll be looking to close that one out in the 7th inning and then come back for it's not necessarily the nightcap. Both games taking place in the middle of the day. Loneker just looking to continue. There's been some excellent form against the Diamond Gents. This one's hit out into the outfield. Should be playable for Meredith, and it is as he ranges to his left and brings it in.
It was a long run for Meredith, and he really got a chance to show off his wheels.
Yeah, it was a ball hit into the gap, but too much underneath it. Allowed really both outfielders were there. Good communication that time. And they don't make a meal of it.
Loneker really has everything working right now. That kinetic chain is about as close to perfect as you can get it.
He's up against Salzman. Takes his place behind the dish defensively for the Gents. And this one chopped over towards Logan Morrison, and the Tigers have 2 gone. Salzman, the freshman catcher, that's a big role for somebody to come in as a first year and kind of call the shots from behind the plate. So, he's struggling a bit offensively, but it's not to be underestimated, his role in this team overall.
Yeah, your most important job as a catcher is obviously what you do behind the plate. Everything you give at the plate otherwise is just gravy.
And we'll see if there's a play to be made here. And once again, Mason Meredith ranging to his left. So Loneker's retired the first 9 batters on their way through the order in 3 innings. We'll be right back with you with the Tigers leading 1-0 heading into the bottom of the third. It's going to be 2-3-4 due up for the Tigers here in the bottom of the third. They took the lead their last time up. 1-0 when Caraway came across on the air. And the way that Jeff Loneker is dealing for the Tigers on the mound, they want to add some run support for their number 9. This one's popped up by Martin. And a running grab on the infield pop fly is made by Russell. And the wind we see playing a big factor on these balls that are hit pretty high in the air.
Yeah, I mean, you can see where it initially starts, right around second base, and then it comes all the way almost to the pitcher's mound.
Russell had to hop on his bike there to make sure he could bring it in. And now Shamet is going to be tasked with trying to get this inning underway. Now with the 1 out off the bat of Jake Martin. Umpire so far has not been buying the Tigers' attempts to sell pitches inside. It's the same crew we saw last night, just in swapped roles.
Means we get to see both more of that beautiful beard out in the infield, and hopefully a tighter strike zone.
That was an interesting cut from Shamet. Looked almost in slow motion as he tried to adjust to the off speed. Fouled it off.
I mean, if I was a left-handed batter, this is pretty close to my nightmare.
So far, though, Parker's struggled against the two lefties.
Just hadn't been able to hit the strike zone.
He hit Caraway, and he didn't hit the strike zone against Shamet.
Yeah, you can see a huge bat wrap, as you were mentioning. Shamet really delaying the hands even as the hips fire, and then choosing to go for it anyway.
This is the most we've seen out of Parker in his last couple starts. Most we've seen out of him this month at all. He hadn't got out of the first inning in his last 2 starts. See somebody over there getting loose in the pen for the Gents. It's going to be a payoff pitch here to the Tigers' number 1. And he grabs his second walk of the game so far. Looking to get something going here in the third.
And the struggles against lefties continue.
That ball moved quite a bit. Looked like it was going to be on the inside part of the strike zone. Ended up low and away. For Parker, it was just too much movement. Now has to face Meredith, who grounded into a double play to end the first inning. That also came with Shamet on first. And that one comes in and hits the elbow of Mason Meredith. So quickly 2 aboard without the Tigers really needing to put the bat on the ball at all. And there's that beard that we talked about walking out towards second base.
Right on the elbow guard.
Does his job there. He'll be thankful he decided to strap up for this afternoon's game.
Always cover up, kids.
So 2 on here for Bender, who popped out to second base to lead off the second inning. Last time he was up, we were talking about the role of the DH and whether or not it was going to suit the man who's been playing over at the hot corner recently. Wasn't off to a great start in the second. Chance, though, with runners on now in the third. Caraway waits on deck. He was hit by a pitch, and they've got Shamet picked off here. And this is the second instance where the Tigers have just struggled on the base pass against the move from Parker. And that'll be disappointing for everyone involved, as they caught Rafe Shamet red-handed.
Parker does it himself, too. How about that? You just have to know your situation, I think. You know, when you're going against a guy like that, even if he steps off the mound, once you've decided, you just have to go for it.
Yeah, we saw that approach from Caraway earlier when he had the ball thrown behind him, but he still beat the throw to second. Would have been tough that time with the ball in the hands of Parker, but I think anything is better than just standing there and waiting for him to come tag you.
Have to agree with that.
The Tigers drew within one yesterday on a pickoff move that went past the first baseman. So just making him make the throw is, I think, the minimum in that situation. So Bender 0-2 in the count, and he's lost the runner that was in scoring position. So there's two gone. As that one comes in the dirt, and now he'll have somebody on second once again. Meredith advances.
Parker's just moving him over to second to give him a chance at another pickoff.
He's already grabbed two guys from his 6 o'clock.
It's greedy.
Sometimes maybe a lack of confidence in his defense. He just says, I'll do it myself. So that one comes in too high against Bender. Counts even at 2-2. Parker finds his grip, comes set, and he comes to the plate. This one hit out into right field, should be playable, and it is. So the Tigers leave a man on second and struggle once again on the base pass here in the bottom of the third. We'll head to the fourth inning, where Jeff Loneker will retake the mound. Solid so far through 3 innings. So back to the top of the order for the Gents here in the fourth inning. Chris Haggard went down on strikes to open this one for the Gents. And he puts the bat to the ball this time, but it's hit towards Scott Peterson. Fires across, and it's dug out by Caraway. So 1 pitch, 1 out for Loneker here in the fourth.
Continues to keep his pitch count low and just get weakly hit balls. That is a recipe for success, especially with the way the Tigers have been playing defense today.
Yeah, 6 out of the 10 outs coming on ground balls. Just the 1K for Lonaker, who grabbed 12 of those across 9 2/3 innings of work last season against Centenary.
Off to a great start against Crowder.
Fouled off. And you could say Lonaker's performance was a real port in the storm for Trinity last season amidst their eventual downfall towards the end of the campaign. And he finds himself in a similar situation here. The team has struggled over the last 4 games. And he comes in this time as a starter. And so far he's given his team every opportunity through 3 1/3.
He's been the vanguard of darkness so far.
Three straight foul balls for Crowder, who looks to stay alive. He lined out to second base in the first inning.
He's been the closest of anybody to squaring up Lonaker.
They decided to try and change the eye level there, go high. Saw Goodrich standing up out of the crouch before the pitch even came in.
I absolutely love that. I cannot tell you enough how much I love that.
See if they go off speed here, and they do go down low. Crowder just able to stay alive. 4 foul balls in this at bat.
I mean, that's a fantastic job by Crowder. When you get that fastball coming in high, and then the very next pitch is an excellent breaking ball at the bottom of the zone, fouling that off is tough.
The 1-2, and there's another one fouled off by Crowder. So that pitch count that looked lovely coming in after the first out of the 4th is now back up somewhere in the reasonable range, thanks to the Gents right fielder. Didn't get a bite there. So he dropped the bait low in the zone.
It's one of the best at-bats I've seen all game.
2-2. And that one gets down, and it's going to head into the corner. So the perfect start for Lonaker comes to an end with a double here from Cody Crowder.
Well, he's the guy you would have picked to break up the perfect game. Lonaker just could not find a place that he couldn't cover.
Yeah, all credit there to Crowder, who stayed alive, fouled off 5 balls in an effort to eventually end up on second base. Now Lonaker just has to think more of the same. That was an exceptional job from the hitter that time. Nothing he did wrong. Even the pitch that was hit wasn't horribly placed. Now he faces Preston Ludwig. Came into the series hitting .386 with a massive 27 RBI. Dwarfs anybody else on his roster or the Tiger roster alike. Chance with a runner in scoring position here. He fouls that one well out of play. First time we've seen Lonaker have to work with somebody on base. And the pickoff move looked to take inspiration that time from Matt Parker. Not nearly as effective. Parker's already grabbed 2 Tigers off of second. This one grounded, and the play to be made by MJ Metz. He fires across, and there's 2 down here in the top of the 4th inning.
Good job looking off the runner first, making sure that your shortstop was covering here. You can see he takes that look, runner stops, and then the runner sees Peterson running behind and decides to go back to second base. That's textbook.
Tiger defense looks flawless so far, which is especially important considering all the changes in the infield since even last night. First pitch from Loneker drops below the zone. You know, of course, we only see the Tigers 3, maybe 4 times a week, but they are playing full scrimmages in practice pretty much every day. So these guys that don't get game reps necessarily aren't, you know, just out there fielding ground balls alone. They're working together as a unit, and they get reps. Of course, you know, these game reps are different, but there's that bit of familiarity. They're playing on their home field as well, as they will be for the majority of this season. So you don't want to overstate the task for these guys who are very capable and get lots of opportunities in practice. First strike of the at-bat for Ewan there as he fouls that one off. He grounded out to MJ Metz to lead off the second inning. Long pause for Ewan there, and the delivery is dropped in beautifully for a strike. Almost Ichiro Suzuki-esque from the center fielder as he paused the bat in his outstretched hand. Here it is again. It's not a bad comparison to draw if you're an outfielder. And Ewan slaps this one towards Morrison. He fields and fires over to end the inning. So first hit comes in the form of Cody Crowder's double down the third base line, but Loneker's still dealing through 4 innings here on the Tiger Network. So it'll be Caraway to lead off in the bottom of the 4th. Tigers still ahead 1-0 here. Behind the excellent arm of Jeff Loneker. Parker, the lefty on the mound for the Gents, has been effective in his own right. But he struggled against lefties, and that's the task here to lead off the bottom of the inning. And this one is golfed by Caraway, and it'll drop in front of the right fielder. He went low in the zone and lifted it out over the infield, bouncing in front of Cody Crowder.
Again, not trying to do too much with the ball. That swing was almost entirely wrists. Just trying to whip one out there and get yourself on base. That's something that the bottom of the order at least has been doing a good job of, is just getting the smallest amount that you need to get done, and then letting the guy behind you do the rest, trusting him.
That trust has been placed in Michael Goodrich, who got a single in the second, was stranded on third by the Logan Morrison line out to center. The Tigers can start to find production from the bottom of the order. The way at times, as there's a pitch out here, the way at times the top of the order's been hitting, you could say it's been hot and cold, but I think the bottom of the order has been pretty much just cold. And so if they can start to put things together in the 6, 7, 8, 9 spots of the order, might to start see some change in terms of the results as well for the Tigers. Goodrich now down in the count 1-2.
I mean, we even saw Morrison at a time into the 9 slot to try and get something going, so that when the top of the order turned over again, there was somebody on base for them to try and do some damage with. So, I mean, obviously the coaching staff knows how important it is, and I'm sure the guys at the bottom want nothing more than to make it a reality.
And that'll be a chance to turn to, but they just get the lead runner, and Goodrich will now take his place on first. He's really stretching to make contact with that one at all. And they tried to go 5-4-3.
Goodrich, of course, notorious for his blazing speed.
Had just enough there to beat it out. And MJ Metz, who also grounded into a fielder's choice that looked like it could have been a double play, if not for a bobbled ball by the second baseman. Now takes first pitch of the at-bat for a strike. Tigers first year credited with an RBI on that ground out towards short. Currently has them out in front 1-0. With the exception of the first game of the doubleheader last weekend against TLU, Tigers have been involved in some exceptionally close games over this 4-game losing streak. Last night, 9-8, and it was 4-3 against Chicago before that. So you can't underestimate the importance of every run, of every base runner throughout the course of the game.
It certainly felt like every game has rested on a knife's edge. And especially until you break out of this losing streak and start to regain some confidence that you can't help but lose. You know, when you go through something this difficult, once they get that back, things may feel a little bit safer, but this 1-0 feels so tenuous right now. Whereas about a month ago, it may not have.
And this one's fouled off by Metz. With Lonecker pitching the way he is on the mound, 1-0 looks extremely safe, but that will only last as long as it does. And when things go south, if they do, you want to have that cushion built up, and one run won't do it. So Metz will have a pitch on the full count here, and he puts this one out towards second base. They won't be able to get the double play as Goodrich got a good jump, but that is the second fielder's choice grounded into from MJ Metz. Second straight in the inning for the Tigers.
Yeah, really a good pitch to swing on, but unfortunately just got wrapped up in his own hands a little bit. One thing I'd like to see in his swing would be a slight change just to bring the hands down and in towards the body a little bit. And I think that would help him a lot as he fires through the strike zone. Just to be a little bit more consistent with his contact and have a little bit better feel for the barrel.
Here's Scott Peterson, who's 1 for 1 on the day, 2 for 3 in his collegiate career. Goodrich advanced to second. He's going to try and beat out this bunt play here, and he does so. An extremely effective infield single there on the bunt from Scott Peterson. He continues his hot start to his college career. And the Tigers now have runners on the corners with 2 outs and Logan Morrison up to plate. And it seems awfully familiar. That's because it is. Same exact situation as we saw in the bottom of the second inning.
That is a great bunt. Right in between home plate and first base. Just enough to make the first baseman think that he has to cover. Second baseman can't get there in time.
So a big opportunity to double the lead for Logan Morrison. A second chance at the same exact situation. Goodrich waits on third. Peterson on first. And there's 2 outs as there's a check on the runner before they decide to come home to the Tiger second baseman. That one comes in well outside. And this is what you talked about with the bottom of the order, with the 9-hitter, giving those guys at the top of the order a chance with runners in scoring position, with runners on base at all. Can they turn it into something here? One finds a way to drop into the strike zone. Jake Martin waits on deck. If Morrison's able to get aboard, which he does so well. He'll be thinking RBI though. The runner just 90 feet away. That one comes in up near the letters. And the count runs to 2-1. Already up at 63 pitches now for Parker, who hasn't gone this far into a game in over a month. And the rainbow pitch there once again comes in too high. Tigers really making Parker work for this. He needs 1 out. And he's in danger of putting Logan Morrison on and loading the bases for Jake Martin with a 3-1 count.
So vastly different scenarios this game could be. Morrison gets on or he gets a hit. All of a sudden we're looking at possibly a big lead. Parker gets out of this inning with just the 1 run still down. All of a sudden it's still that super tight game, and Centenary gets a chance to give him something back.
This one cued out into center field, and it's going to be the same result as Morrison flies out to center just like he did in the second inning. That'll be frustrating for the Tigers, who get 2 chances now with the runner on third, and they've left him there both times. We'll head to the 5th inning where the Tigers still hold a 1-0 lead over the Centenary Diamond Gents. So I finally don't have to hold my tongue on using the word perfect in any sense, as Loneker gave up the double in the last inning. But so far he's faced 13 batters. The minimum is just 12 through 4. And he's continued his excellent form against Centenary from last season.
See, now you have to continue to avoid the S word, though. Baseball is so weird. I love it.
The linguistic hoops to jump through here for me and Sam behind the mic. Pitch count still in a very manageable place for Loneker at the moment. That was his 53rd offering. Charlie Albritton, who grounded out to shortstop in the second, stands in with his crouch stance, and he's called out there on strikes. Not sure if he went around or if he just found the zone. Either way, Loneker with a good start here to the top of the 5th inning.
Yeah, just because he's lost the perfect game doesn't mean that he's not absolutely dealing. I know we've maybe been a couple innings since we talked about it, but that kinetic chain still looks really good. Every once in a while, the arm fires just a little bit late, which is where he gets those misses to the left side of the plate or just towards the left-handed batter's box, but they've been far and few.
More conventionally, few and far between, even.
Thank you.
Here is Tyler Welch. Reached base 4 out of 5 times yesterday for the Gents. And he is 0 for 1 today. He's 1 and 2 in the count now. So that one came up near the helmet for Loneker. And the 1-2 is in there for a strike. That is the 3rd strikeout for Jeff Loneker. The first one of the looking variety. So we get another good look at that one right on the outside corner. Excellently placed pitch. And Brandon Griffin now up to the plate with nobody on. Another freshman getting significant playing time for head coach Mike Diaz. Centenary, of course, trying to replace so many seniors that they relied on last season. Chris Zapata, Cole Laverne, Caleb Kirk amongst them. It's been particularly evident in the pitching department, but in other places as well. And I think for Centenary, it's more of a reload than a rebuild. It's not like they're particularly struggling any more so than they have been. And Loneker is most certainly not struggling. He strikes out the side here as he gets Griffin to chase, and he continues his excellent form into the 6th inning. We'll be right back with you for the bottom of the 5th on the Tiger Network. Jake Martin to lead off here for the Tigers. He led off in the third and popped out towards shortstop. See if he can get something going. He also walked back in the first inning, where he was stranded running from second to third on a double play. And he barrels this one up. We'll see where this one goes. Could it be gone? And it is over the highest part of the wall, just over the 41 there in left field. Jake Martin is back on the board with another home run. Tigers double the lead, 2-0 in the fifth.
That is one way to break out of a slump. Not too far away from where that game-tying home run landed just about a week ago.
That one landing just over Coach Message, the number 41 there, dedicated to him in left.
That was deep. That did not creep over the wall.
The big green giant out there in left as the wall height doubles towards the corner. Couldn't stop that one from Jake Martin. It's the leadoff solo shot. Doubles the Tiger lead. That's some offensive fireworks we haven't seen the last couple of games, especially from Martin, who after his monster series against TLU has gone quiet until that moment. And Parker just left him something all too appetizing over the plate.
I guess when you hit a home run off of him, it's a meatball sandwich, huh?
And this one's hit by Shamet and right into the shift. It looked like he beat it out, and he did. Shamet running hard out of the box. Beats the shift before the shift could beat him.
Well, if you're going to hit it in the same place every time, then you might as well just make sure you're fast enough that it doesn't matter.
So we need to look here at the bang-bang play at first. Tie goes to the runner there for Shamet. Saw him ground out in the 8th into that shift. Second baseman was well positioned. Just need to put something more behind the throw to first. Meredith lays down the bunt here, and there's going to be only the play at first, and the throw from Salzman brings Ludwig off the bag. The Tigers have 2 on here with nobody out and a chance to continue. Bit of an offensive outburst in the bottom of the 5th.
Definitely a spot of trouble as the big boy Dallas Bender comes up to the plate. He's, of course, big boy number 2, second to Tim Scannell.
The big boy protege has popped out and flown out today. He's come up with a couple of runners on, once back in the 3rd. With nobody out here, I think advancing the runners would be absolutely pivotal for the Tigers senior. Caraway is on deck. He's reached base both times. Goodrich 1 for 2 would be after him. Tigers just need to string a couple of hits together and solidify their position out in front in the opening game of this doubleheader. You can see Arjun Thacker in the background there on the edge of the bench. He went 4 innings yesterday, not even dressed out today, much to our dismay here in the booth. And it's the 0-2 pitch for Bender. It comes in high, wide, and not so handsome from Parker.
Interested to see what the leash is on Parker here.
He's got himself into a spot of bother. And I was just about to mention the pickoff move. Shamet alive to the danger that time. He's already fallen victim once. And I think without that pickoff move, the Tigers may have a couple more runs on the board, but it's gotten Parker out of some tough situations, including a runner on second with nobody out already once today.
He's already shaken the arm out. Just not a great sign.
A big left-hander comes home, and Bender flies out towards center field. So he's 0 for 3 on the day. Still only one gone, though, in the fifth. Tigers need to shake that one off and try and keep the momentum from Shamet and Meredith going. Caraway will be the guy to do it. Lefty-lefty matchup statistically favors the pitcher, but so far today it's been the opposite.
Just another example of how stats are only as valuable as the context that you give them. Which one?
Caraway takes a ball here to start the at-bat. And that's the second time that pitches come in and hit Caraway in a very similar manner on the back. Clearly a struggle for Parker against lefties, and now a chance for Goodrich with the bases loaded. Just one out here. I don't think he's going to be facing Matt Parker. And the bat not even in both hands for Caraway there.
Obviously not very afraid.
He was in survival mode trying to get out of the way of that one. Second time he's been hit. First time he came around to score. We'll see if the Tigers can replicate their second inning exploits against, it's going to be sophomore right-hander Connor Polk. And we'll let him get some warm-up tosses, and we'll be right back with you on the Tiger Network. So Connor Poche, the sophomore right-hander, comes in a bit of a sticky situation. He's behind in the count 1-0 to Goodrich. And the bases are full with just one out here in the bottom of the fifth. Centenary behind by 2 already. A chance for the Tigers to blow this one open. And it's going to have to be Poche. He would love a grounder up the middle. Chance to turn 2.
Poche has what I would characterize as an interesting delivery. You see him whip that right arm way back. We were trying to do it up in the bunker here, and I don't think I can get my arm that far back behind my back.
Yeah, I already scheduled my Tommy John surgery after trying to do it myself. This one's hooked into the corner, and it's going to drop down in front of the left fielder. That'll score at least a couple for Michael Goodrich. A 2. It'll be an RBI single. As Goody comes good for the Tigers, and they extend the lead here in the bottom of the fifth.
Good solid piece of hitting. Take a quick look at it, perhaps.
That's MJ Metz. He's now due up. A couple of runners still on and just one out here. So 2 RBI there for Goodrich on the single. Inning started off as hot as it's been with Jake Martin teeing one off over the left field wall. Here's MJ Metz, who has himself an RBI already. He grounded into a fielder's choice, but it allowed Caraway to score back in the second. Here is a look at that one. The Goodrich dropped out in front of the left fielder and doubled the Tiger lead. They've already doubled it twice now. Went from 1 to 2 on the home run and 2 to 4 on that single from their backstop. And they're going to get another throw over to second. Pickoff moves clearly a point of emphasis in practice coming into this one for the Gents. They've been out in full force. A couple of pickoffs already for Parker, who's no longer in the game. It's Poche. And that one comes in and hits MJ Metz, which is not necessarily what you want to do if you're the man on the mound. Still hasn't recorded an out. And you put a guy on first base who's, he's been solid defensively, but at the plate he's continued his struggles so far. And instead of making him hit the ball, you hit him with the ball.
Bet he wishes he had a little arm guard on there. That'll leave a bruise.
3rd time that a Tiger batter's been hit so far. 4th time.
Always wrap up, kids. Get those plates on.
So a chance for Scott Peterson. He's 2 for 2. The bases are still loaded here in the bottom of the 5th. He scores around the bunt. And I think if he stands in there normally, he probably gets hit by the pitch. 2nd straight one in the right-handed batter's box for Poche.
Needs to be very careful. Could escalate in a hurry.
Peterson batting .750 so far in his collegiate career.
That'll do, huh?
And I think that one will be another hit batter for Poche. So Peterson grabbed an RBI and probably a bruise and heads down to first base.
Poche clearly struggling a little bit with the command. That one looked like it hit Peterson right on the number. Not much you can do about that one. Yeah, just about.
How about that elbow pad, though?
Coming in clutch. Been telling them all day.
See if Morrison can come in clutch here for the Tigers. He's struggled a couple of times with runners on third. Here's his third look with a man 90 feet away.
Third time's a charm, right?
Tigers are already out in front, 5-0. A chance to really put it out of reach for the Gents here in the bottom of the fifth. And again coming in inside on the right-handed batter.
It's pretty tight.
I think if he wears an elbow pad, that may come off of the bottom edge of it. Promise we aren't sponsored by your favorite elbow guard manufacturer. But if they wanted to,
yeah, if you're out there listening,
you know where to call. Morrison takes some practice swings. O'Shea is under the cosh here. He's already given up a couple of runs since coming in. And this one is shot foul. And we'd love to see a replay down there in the bullpen. Over break, we saw a bit of guitar being played. I believe it was Devin Wright, whose birthday happens to be today, so happy birthday to him. Hopefully he and his teammates can deliver a present of 2 victories here in the doubleheader.
be a heck of a 21st.
That one is excellently handled by Salzman behind the plate. Could have resulted in the 6th run coming across had he let it get by him.
That is really far outside. I think people underestimate the reaction time you have on stuff like that too. As little time as the batter has to react, the catcher only has a little bit more.
Payoff pitch comes in dangerously high, so that's the second runner that comes across. Now the bat hitting the ball, and there's going to be a conversation here as Mike Diaz makes his way towards the mound. Diaz misleadingly wearing the sweatshirt. It's a lovely day out. Up around 70. So that one may have hit Morrison. Looks like he got out of the way and took ball 4 instead.
That's about half of a millimeter off of his knuckle, if at all.
Goodrich comes around to score on the walk, and it's 6-0 here for the Tigers, who are looking to rebound from a couple of bad results in a big way. As there's going to be some warm-up tosses here. And we'll be right back with you. The base is still loaded, and the Tigers still look to extend this lead in the bottom of the 5th when we come back. So a bit of confusion here in terms of the number for the pitcher coming in. We believe it's Josh McLean, number 32, wearing the number 31. He comes into a situation here against Jake Martin, who's already homered in this inning, and the bases are loaded. Can you think of a worse situation to come into if you're a freshman on the mound?
No outs. That's about it. This is maybe one of the most pressure-filled situations you can be in.
And he gets a tapped ground ball from Martin, who will beat out the throw and get an RBI on the fielder's choice. Fairly tame considering, but Martin will take the lead, extend it out to 7.
Bringing us closer to another doubling of the lead, which of course would be out to 8.
Haven't had to multiply or divide by 2 this much since 2048 was a thing. Remember that game?
Like it was yesterday. It's got a real avant-garde fashion statement going on with the right pant leg.
Of course, Centenary sends their incoming classes to Paris, so maybe something out of Fashion Week for the freshmen.
They're trying to compete with our no buttons policy.
Soon enough, this series will be sponsored by the famous Instagram account Barstool. So that one drops in for a strike against Chimette.
It's a decent curve. It's pretty slow. Again, has a tendency to get loopy like a lot of these guys do. McLean doesn't look like a guy that necessarily throws really hard, but keeping it in and around the strike zone for the most part, which, considering how many walks he's had in his appearances, is perhaps a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I'm going to have to request Rafe Chimette to get on base here, as I've already marked it on my score sheet in pen. Not sure what I was thinking. Could it be prophetic?
Would not be particularly surprised, given how far that fastball missed outside.
He's already got a couple of walks today. He's got runners on the corners here and a full count with 2 outs, so they'll be in motion on the next pitch from the mystery man, who we presume is Josh McLean.
Go one.
He looks like a Josh.
This will be the payoff pitch. Chance to get out of this nightmare 5th inning. Gone through now 3 pitchers in an effort to try and quell this Tiger offensive outburst, which has seemed to be a long time coming. The payoff pitch is hit down the line, foul for Chimette, so there'll be another offering from McLean.
You want a prediction that almost certainly won't come true?
Absolutely.
Fastball, down and away, miss, walk.
It would suit my score sheet issues. And it would load the bases here as somebody take this man to Vegas. The fastball comes in low and away, and the bases are loaded with the walk to Rafe Chimette. And order is restored on my score sheet.
You set him up, I knock him down.
So it's going to be Meredith with the bases loaded for the 2nd time in the inning.
That's a great sentence.
Unfortunately, it was incorrect as I was looking back, but
Still sounded good, though.
he himself loaded the bases with a single. Game already firmly in control from a Tiger perspective. Chance to just continue to add on here. We'll be interested to see if Loneker comes back out. He's had a tremendously long wait. But at the same time, he has been tremendous. As I turn over the score sheet, it's a very different story. He struck out the side in the 5th. And he's been over in that dugout for 30, 40 minutes, it seems like. Centenary's gone through pitchers and been unable to stop the Tiger offense here.
He's just been doing a little bit of yoga, keeping stretched out, keeping warm.
Loneker, yeah, he seems like the type of guy to be meditating maybe, thinking about his next pitches. It's the 3-0 pitch. Nowhere to put Meredith. And that was exactly where we had to put that one. Inside corner of the plate. Gauspender waits on deck. Meredith has a 3-1 count here. And he puts this one up the middle for a base hit. His second of the inning. And that'll score 2 more for the Tigers, who have a 9-0 lead here. And it's only the bottom of the 5th inning.
And the wait for Loneker continues. Two outs has never felt less intimidating. I think this is exactly what we were talking about during the bottom of the 4th, is that it feels like once they break out, all hell is going to break loose. But until they did, everything was just so tight.
Seen a bit of that offensive swagger restored to this Tiger lineup. So that one went up the middle. No play to be made by the infield of the Gents.
Clayton has had a lot better time finding the strike zone with the curveball than he has with the fastball, that's for sure.
And Bender, I think, has been down in the count, 0-2, every time he's come up today.
I believe that's correct.
And this time, it's going to be a similar result, I believe. See if they gun him out, and they do. So the Tigers double the lead more than twice, as they go from 1-0 in front to 9-0 in the course of just the 1/2 inning. We'll see if Loneker comes out to continue what has been an excellent showing so far. Looks like he will when we come back for the 6th on the Tiger Network. So Loneker's still out there to continue what has been an excellent showing so far for him. He's thrown 63 pitches through 5 innings and given up 1 hit. That was the double back in the fourth to Cody Crowder. He's had a long wait, though. No official time on how long he was over in the dugout as the Tigers put 8 across the plate. But it was certainly 30 to 40 minutes as Centenary had to make a couple of pitching changes and delays of that nature. But one thing it does is it takes the pressure off of the shoulders of the Tiger right-hander. Not to say the pressure had been affecting him previously. But the big number 9 now has 9 on the board.
I love symmetry. This would also be the largest margin of victory for Trinity all season if it held.
I think going into the second game of the doubleheader, you love to see a big result like this. We saw the opposite come true, as that's the 4th straight strikeout for Jeff Loneker. A lot of time separating the 3rd and the 4th. Only a matter of centimeters on the score sheet, though. But not yesterday, last weekend, we saw in the TLU series the Tigers lose big in the first game. And the second game, it always felt like, even from the get-go, you were playing from behind. And I think the Tigers will really fancy themselves to hold that same advantage in the second game, where it feels like, man, I'm having a rough day at the plate. I couldn't find anything in the first game. And now we've got to go try and play another game. This one's hit out into right. The oncoming Jake Martin brings it in. And there's 2 down here quickly for Loneker.
And he continues rolling and continues keeping that pitch count relatively intact. Only at 71. Not quite through 6.
Just to think of the mental advantage of such a lopsided scoreline. Maybe if the 3rd game of the series was tomorrow, Centenary would have more time to think, all right, we can shake it off, come back tomorrow, and give it another go. But now they're going to have to deal with that mentally. Just a turnaround time of 30 or so minutes between games. Quick throw over from Scott Peterson, and that is the 5th 1-2-3 inning for Jeff Loneker on the mound. We head into the bottom of the 6th. Tigers up big, 9-0. It's going to be freshman right-handed pitcher Dawson Crosby on the mound. Those close to him refer to him as the Ginger Mane. Those red locks flowing out from under the hat.
By those close to him, you mean us.
Yes. Nickname all but official.
I mean, I think once we make a decision, then it's over for you. You're stuck with it.
And this one is barreled up by Caraway. It's his second leadoff single of the game. Also led off back in the fourth. Seems like a long time ago. Probably because it was over an hour ago. But he's been restored to the lineup, and he's reached base 4 times today. 2 for 2 with 2 hits, and he's been hit twice.
Ouch. Bottom of the lineup, though, has been really good, especially compared to previous performances. That was a nice slider.
Goodrich amongst those having a nice afternoon. He's 2 for 3. And that one gets away on the pickoff move from Crosby. Caraway is rounding
He's
third.
going to do it.
And he's going to put the brakes on there.
Should have gone home. Ruined my evening.
So he advances to third. Notably in SCAC play, there is a 10-run after 7-run rule. So although the 10th run would prove rather inconsequential usually, could see us getting started rather early for the second game of this doubleheader, which I think no one would complain about.
Just my paycheck.
As Crosby stretches the leg there, sprinting towards home plate. That one fouled off by Goodrich, unplayable for the Centenary defense.
Pretty close, though.
Yeah, the infamous tarp over there down the first base line. It's played its part on a fair few occasions. As Goodrich puts this one foul once again. And over on the softball side of things, the Tiger Ladies have drawn within 1 run, 5-4 in the second game of their doubleheader against the University of Dallas. They took the opening game of the day, and the Tiger men look to follow suit here. Up 9-0 over the Gents. Crosby comes home, and this one is sent right at the third baseman. The rainbow shot gets Goodrich, but the 10th run is brought across. Caraway scores on the ground ball. Double-digit lead for the Tigers. Their biggest advantage, if it would hold, in a win on the season.
Pretty impressive stuff. And the bottom of the lineup continues to get things done.
Yeah, 3 RBI now for Michael Goodrich. Metz has one as well. He's 0 for 2 with a couple of fielder's choice plays. And he was also hit by a pitch. Came around to score in the 5th. Take you around baseball here in the MLB. Cleveland and Minnesota. Cleveland leads that one 2-1. Minnesota taking their last swings in the bottom of the 9th. The White Sox and Kansas City locked up in a close one, 3-4, in favor of the home team in the bottom of the 6th. Detroit down 3-0 in Toronto, and Atlanta ahead 3-1 in Philadelphia. Finals from earlier on, Baltimore survived a late resurgence from the Yankees, winning 5-3, and the other New York team comes out victorious over the Nationals 11-8. And here, a big 10-0 lead for the Trinity Tigers in San Antonio, who are looking to snap a 4-game skid, and they have done so thanks to a big pitching performance from Jeff Loneker, who's given up just 1 hit through 6, and a big 8-run inning in the 5th to blow this one wide open. Metz takes a walk. That's the second time he's reached base today. And Scott Peterson, who has also reached base on a hit by pitch, in addition to a couple of hits, including a bunt single earlier on. His on-base percentage is off the charts right now. Average not too bad either.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
So one of the key contributors in talking about that bottom of the lineup. Grabs his first collegiate RBI when he was hit by that pitch, and he also came around to score.
Can you be Wally pipped if you aren't injured?
Quality question. Peterson sports the closed stance and the number 5 on his back. Not a guy with a ton of power, but a guy with a real ability to protect the strike zone. And we've seen him just shoot a couple balls out into the outfield so far today.
He's got that interesting leg kick where he's transferring weight onto his back foot, but he's also starting his rotation with his hips. Probably makes him really easy to fire on the way through. Could definitely contribute to the protection of the strike zone that you were talking about.
Peterson behind in the count 1-2. Tigers already up 10-zip here in San Antonio. That one comes in high from Crosby, whose ginger mane has lacked its usual intimidation today.
Tough when you come into a 9-0 lead to intimidate the other team. Craig Kimbrell doesn't look so scary when you're up by 10.
It'll be a full count for Peterson. And he draws a walk, so he's reached all 4 times in his first start as a Trinity Tiger.
Talk about seizing the job by the horns.
Back to the top of the lineup we go. Runners on first and second. And Logan Morrison is up.
Don't think Logan's going to know what to do. No runners on the corners?
Recommendation from our producer Josh is to send the runner going towards third.
I'm on board with that. Got to keep your guys comfortable at the plate, you know? Plus Metz, I mean, think about the stride on that guy.
Legend has it he can make it to third in 2 steps. Doesn't take the plane from San Diego. He just hop, skip, and a jump away with a stride like that.
Visiting home has never been easier.
And the struggles continue for Centenary on the mound. Believe that is the 6th, possibly the 7th hit batter. And Jake Martin is now up with the bases loaded for the 2nd straight inning. And that one is true.
There you go. Morrison again off the elbow there. Telling you. Put the guard on. Jake Martin knows. And if you don't trust Jake Martin, who do you trust?
Martin was back on the board with a big solo shot to lead off that offensive resurgence in the 5th.
Yeah, he really started it all. And just shows you how quickly things can change.
I'll tell you what, Crosby is eager to come cover home. Trying to make an impression for his coaches. Here's a look at that Jake Martin home run. Took
Bang.
it out over the left field wall. And the rest of the Tiger offense says, oh, that's how you do it. And they go on to score 8 in the bottom of the 5th.
You mean we can hit? That's okay? Oh, all right.
Martin now behind in the count. 1-2. Bases loaded here, just 1 out. Tigers with a massive 10-0 lead. And Martin hits this one over towards second base, and the shortstop made a 4-course meal out of that one. The run comes in to score on what I believe will be given as maybe a fielder's choice with a throwing error. Either way, the 11th run is plated for the Tigers. It's given as an RBI single for Jake Martin. Makes him 2 for 5 on the day. And Shamet now bats with the bases loaded. And he puts this one out into the outfield. And that one gets down in the gap. We'll see if they all come home. Shamet stands on second base. And he grabs 2 more RBI for the Tigers here, who now lead 13-0. Finally stringing hits together here.
Pretty incredible.
Shamet, another one that's now reached base all 5 times. 3 walks and a couple of hits. Your on-base percentage will say, thank you, sir, for an afternoon like this. And the elbow
guard again.
comes into play. We love it here on the Tiger Network. Bases are loaded, just like the Tigers like them here. 13-0. And Dallas Bender is the only Tiger yet to reach base. Did someone show him where the bat rack was on his way out? We shall soon see.
Yeah, you never want to be that guy. Everybody's getting in on the fun.
He's looking for it there. Looking to get it all back there. I think Crosby probably feels like he's out there on an island. Can't seem to get an out. And you know there's probably no help coming with eyes towards the second game of the day. And it's Dallas Bender behind in the count, 0-2. It's been a familiar phrase in all 4 of his at-bats. And did he hold up? The umpire will say no. And Bender is retired, so there's 2 outs. Base is still loaded here in the 6th.
You have to think it's unlikely that he'll be coming back up.
Now, we talked about early on how will the designated hitter role affect him, and it hasn't looked good so far for the Tigers senior. Tigers bat around for the 2nd consecutive inning. That's Caraway, who started this one off with a single. He's reached base 4 times. I think he's due to be hit by a pitch here, if you follow the pattern.
telling you, man, that slider is nice. It's got a little bit of shape to it. I think as long as you keep it down low in the zone, it's really nice. The fastball has been, we don't want to talk about it, but the slider, that's something to focus on going forward for Crosby. Yeah, I mean, look at that thing.
Even had his catcher fooled. Salzman couldn't bring it in.
When you're bending it from batter's box into the plate, that's pretty nice.
One off the end of the bat for Caraway. Tigers left 11 on yesterday. They've got 11 left on today as well, including the bases loaded once. But the offensive output has meant that it hasn't really affected them too much. Yesterday, a much bigger talking point than it is today.
Yeah, as long as you keep your runs above your left on base number, usually you don't talk about it too much. Would be nice to see them maybe take a little more advantage, especially early on in the game when they were struggling. Hard to be too crotchety when you're up 13-0 though. Even for me.
Good work from Caraway to stay alive. And there's finally an end in sight here for Crosby. He needs one strike to get out of what's been a second consecutive nightmare inning. And it's going to have to come on a full count. Runners will be in motion. 2 gone. And there's a lot of them. 1 on each bag here for the Tigers. And the pattern comes true. Hit batter, single, hit batter, single, hit batter, give him an RBI, and give him an ice pack. I was going to bring it up, but I just felt like it was too outlandish to happen again.
Right on the back of the ankle.
Did his best to get out of the way that time, in fairness. But he couldn't do anything.
Yeah, when the pitch is behind you, it's kind of tough. Looks like we're going to get a pinch hitter. Brian Hessler. And also a new pitcher.
So all kinds of change here for the Tigers.
Hey, this one's on my roster.
A rostered pitcher comes in for Centenary. We'll be right back with you to let you know who it is. Tigers up 14-0 with the bases still loaded here in the 6th inning. So it'll be another freshman on the mound. This time Camden Cooper looks to get out of a bases loaded situation. And a chance for the first-year pitcher to gain some experience. Obviously, the game has been decided here in the day cap of the doubleheader. But it's almost like a little simulation, game within a game. He comes in, he says, can I get out of this bases-loaded jam? And he slowly starts to build confidence not only in himself, but maybe his manager starts to get more confidence in him as well. And he can come into a similar situation when the game may be, in fact, on the line. He'll be up against a pinch hitter in Brian Hessler. Hessler's second at-bat of the season. Chance for his first hit. And if he does grab a hit, it'll be a couple of RBI to go with it with every base loaded. And there's going to be no play there as the pass ball scores the 15th run for Trinity.
I mean, that's just cruel. Take Dawson Crosby out right before a chance to cover home plate.
Cooper looked just as eager, but maybe the lack of the Lions' main falling behind him prevented him from getting there in time. And Shamet comes across the plate. Interestingly enough, Centenary's biggest win of the season was 20-5 over Austin College. Tigers can do one better if they grab another run, although I would argue 15-0 better than 20-5 in terms of having the shutout to your name as well.
Big hack.
Hessler's going to have a 3-2 pitch here coming up.
Seems like Cooper is either painting the corners or he's in the other batter box.
See what he has on offer here. Long pause and the delivery. Misses inside.
Batter's box it was.
And the bases are once again loaded.
And once again, another pinch hitter.
Obviously with eyes to the later game. Just trying to get some of your guys' rests and those coming off the bench some experience. This looks like Adam Jew. It is number 24. Sophomore outfielder. It'll be interesting to see how they line up defensively. Now having withdrawn MJ Metz. Dallas Bender an option to go out at third base. He's still in the lineup. And talk about Ichiro Suzuki impression. Thank you.
Well, that's
Adam
the best
Jew.
one I've seen so far.
Absolutely.
And the undone buttons, the pockets out, the bad strike call. We have it all.
Adam, we can see the Ichiro posters on your dorm room wall from here. And this one is grounded towards short. The flip towards second, and the Gents get out of the inning. And the Tigers first grab 6 more runs here in the bottom of the 6th. Injury concern for the shortstop Andrew Russell. He'll get back to the dugout under his own power there. And the Tigers will take the field. If they're able to get out of the top half of this inning without conceding 6 runs, the game will be finished after 7. We'll be right back with you here on the Tiger Network.
Oof. As we come back to this one, we'd like to give special thanks to our Fastbat Inc.'s sponsor of the game, Todd and Liz Wright. Of course, the parents of number 18, Devin Wright, class of 2019. And their message is happy 21st birthday, Devo, which I think we can echo here in the booth. And what a birthday present this game would be if it finished up as is.
I think it's harsh to not throw the guy in on his birthday with a 15-run lead. It's going to be Cardone instead to try and finish this one off after Loneker went 6 near perfect innings, agonizingly close to perfect. The one double back in the 4th. But he was essentially unhittable.
Absolutely. A little bit harsh not to bring him back out. And I think fair complaints to be made by Loneker and Wright, but you know what? I have one word in response. Mustache.
Can't argue with that as a big swinging strikeout for Cardone.
Yeah, I'll add another one. Curveball. Look at this. Yes, please.
I spent that entire bat trying to find the pronunciation guide. It was Cade Lastovica who went down on strikes. He was pinch hitting. Likewise, here is number 35.
Need a pronunciation guide for this one?
Not quite.
Cameron Jones.
Cameron James. They had you fooled.
I'm just going to throw away my roster. Here it goes. Worthless. Deal with game 2 when it comes.
The freshman listed as a utility player gets an at-bat here in what should be the final inning of the game. Sends this one quite far down the first base line. And it'll be just about on time for the projected 5 o'clock first pitch if this one ends here shortly. Usually about 30 or so minutes between games. James chops this one down the third base line, and a really good play made by Brian Cardone to cover and fire over to first base. Caraway there had no problem bringing it in.
I'm over my roster anger enough to contribute that was indeed a good play. I will now continue to sit in my rage.
And here's Jake Ryan, who takes one pitch. And we're sorry for that bruise, Mr. Ryan. But that's why you have helmets.
It's just the way that it bounces off. Doink.
Just go out there, get hit in the head, and take your base. And give somebody else a chance to come up here off the bench. It's Kozany, the Wakeland High School graduate. Junior outfielder. Has had limited opportunity. Here's his latest. We've already thanked our sponsor in this inning. We'd also like to thank the SCAC Rules Committee for allowing this run rule to exist. The Tigers 1 out away from heading into the second game of the doubleheader with tremendous momentum. Now 1 strike away from ending this one off against Kozany. Pretty much everyone up and down this Tiger roster, including the guys Loneker and now Cardone that have come into pitch, will feel so much more confident after today's performance going into the nightcap as they flip to second, and the Tigers will take game 1 of the doubleheader, evening up the series. The rubber match will be right back with you here as we head into the nightcap. Tigers win 15-0 over the Centenary Gents. The final line score for you: the Tigers 15 runs on 13 hits and 11 left on base. Centenary unable to plate anybody on 1 hit, 1 error, and they leave the 2 on base, 1 in that 7th inning. Loneker went 6, gave up just the 1 hit, and it was finished off by Cardone after a couple of big innings see the Tigers through into the nightcap. We'll be right back with you here on the Tiger Network in about 30 minutes. We hope you'll join us for a big Game 3 in the course of the SCAC season right after this.